Okay, this is a reading. This is chapter 1 of Don't Look at the Moon. She only used her record player when she brought a guy home she wanted to impress. Never before, never after. Just for that moment would she gracefully unsheathe the record carefully so as not to leave a fingerprint or chance a scratch. The meticulous placement below the expectant needle, beautifully painted fingernails pressed down on a large and square silver play button. A click, a fizzle, and the next last memory was sex. Natasha waited for her coffee after everything. She stirred it, not having added sugar. Her eyes were glazed as she began a soft, slow churning. She listened to the sounds from her headphones. It's not working, she thinks, as she throws a glance away from her phone screen's playlist. The tears would not come. Nothing but melody, arbitrary and trite. Natasha clawed her vulnerabilities. But what worked long ago, pain relived in detail, became melodic nostalgia, serving only to bring forward the sequence of infatuation lived within the selfish narrative of love. Her eyes were much brighter in the moments before the first tear. I need it, she whispers aloud. Nothing came. She paused while the world moved around her, her downturned mouth permanent, maybe from what she had suffered the last 29 years. When she smiled, she lit the room like lightning through a window. With another smile, she could suggest a salacious sentiment so innocently. You were never sure how deep her desire was until it was too late. Right now there was no smile, only a growing concern that would later become a plan that formed the wryest smile. Blocked and trapped in an emotional bandwidth, she sat at the window facing the city outside. Her face was just inches from a thick glass so clear. As if to tease her, a soft rain began, the droplets sticking to the window, tear-shaped. Just a few, and then thousands, until it was all she could see in the view. Focusing on the static tear-shaped drops blurred the lives being led behind them. Natasha looked down at her coffee. She scanned the room for distraction. She scrolled around the failing playlist. With no trigger, the boxes remained closed tight. The tools for picking the locks were themselves locked in her melancholiac's handbook, a self-written, self-indulgent guide to emotional release. It was yet to find its way from the reactionary part of her mind to paper. Natasha stirs her coffee as she reads back the manifesto in her head. We die without tears. She stopped stirring as she became suddenly aware that was all she'd been doing while the world watched. A thought arpeggiated, reviving her countenance. Her eyes came into focus and cleared like blue taking a sky back from the clouds. The song that will break me again is not yet written. Natasha tangled herself in the pathway this thought was leading her. She put down her cold coffee, almost full, and wiped foam with a tissue from the softness of her top lip. She wanted to walk her thoughts around the city, well lit in the coming sunset. Natasha was alive, retuned and thrumming. Not the emotional state she yearned for, but it would inevitably carry her there. Her mood was a lighthouse. Her walk across the cafe clearly showed it. She made eyes towards the door, the street and the future as she paid her bill at the cashier, accepting the change with the polite gesticulation of a bad actress. She looked outside for 1 second, then began. The way she pulled on the heavy frame door, both hands gripping the twist of a vertical brass handle, gave the impression she would swing herself into the street and burst into song. As the sky does in London, grey gave way to hues of blue and the refracting golden light of late evening in spring. While the capricious sky capitulated, she walked and walked, and those that saw her across the street either smiled at her energy or cursed it. London was alive with the activity that follows a day in an office. The crowd split between young after-work drinkers and those midway through their commutes. Buses, taxis and delivery scooters waited for green lights, blocked by a wall of suits and dresses. The late sunlight gave the scene hope, but the wilting souls fell short of escape. After 3 miles meandering the city, Natasha placed her brass key in the rickety lock of her apartment. Home was a mess of cleanliness. Between piles of things she couldn't throw away and things she thought she couldn't live without, the room was warm in the glow of lamplight, as the light from the sky gave into dusk. That night, Natasha made a playlist, not of music, of musicians. Musicians whose hearts she would break, whose sadness would seed itself in song, and whose suffering she would drink from as the tears flowed freely down her own salted cheeks. She put her laptop on the side table, rolled over in her bed, and wrapped herself in the white cotton duvet. Snug in that warmth, she pushed her face into the cold side of the crisp, clean pillowcase. Natasha slept deep, smiling into every twisted corner of opportunity and reward her dreams could muster. That's the end of chapter fucking 1. Yes! Shitloads more to go. Booyah! Let's stop this.